Hello and welcome to Average Biker. Now I have had the Suzuki GSX-S 1000 GT for about 6 months, and the whole time I've had the factory heated grips on this bike. So today I'm going to give you my review of them and tell you how good they are. They're very expensive, they cost around £450 here in the UK. I think they're around $500 US, so you might be wondering whether or not they're worth it. So today I'll tell you all about them, including the pros and cons, and at the end I'll tell you how they compare to the Oxford Pro heated grips and the Ultimate add-on heated grips, which are aftermarket options you might also be considering. We're going to start with the aesthetics then, and there's not an awful lot to say. They just look like standard grips. They don't look particularly good, they don't look particularly bad, they're just fine. These were installed with the cable going over the top here. I've had some heated grips installed underneath, which I think looks a little bit neater, but for whatever reason the dealer chose to install it this way. But it looks totally fine and it doesn't get in the way, and you can see that there's no chance of the cable catching on anything. So they look totally fine, nothing special to really report. So we'll move on to functionality. So firstly, to turn them on, you have this button here. It's a good size, as you can see, it's roughly the size of my thumb. The top part doesn't move, so it's the bottom part that you need to press, but it's a nice soft press. It's really easy to press, even with gloves on, and today I'm wearing these relatively thick rucker gloves. They're winter gloves. So it's a nice easy one to press. To turn it on, you have to push and hold, and there you go, you can see that it's flashing green. So that's the first bad thing, is you have to push and hold. It takes a second to push and hold, and I'd rather it just be an instant tap, because when you're riding you don't want to be thinking about changing the level of your heated grips for any period of time, but I accept that a second is probably acceptable. However, to change the heat level, you have to press and hold again, and you can see it's now flashing 2 times. And if I press and hold again, you can now see it's flashing 1 time, which means it's on its lowest setting. So now after a few seconds it stops flashing. The downside of that is, when you look down now, after the first 5 seconds when it stops flashing, you look down and all lights are on. It looks like there are 3 bars there, but there aren't. You just have all 3 lights are on. So there's no way of knowing when you just look down at a glance whether you're in the highest heat setting or the lowest heat setting. And that's annoying, because there'll be a time when you've been sat on the motorway for half an hour or so and you want to look down because you're thinking your hands are a bit cold. You want to have a quick look down and see if you're on the hotter setting. You can't, so you then push and hold the button, and it's at that, and it turns off when you've cycled through, by the way, but you push and hold the button, and it's at that point that you realise that you were in the highest setting, and then you need to cycle through them all again, and it's just a bit of a faff. So it would be great if you could just look down at a glance and see either red, amber, green to show you what temperature you're at. So that's really annoying that it doesn't have that. But while the actual functionality is a little bit hit and miss, onto the performance we go, and this is where we have good news. As I say, so I've been wearing these rucker gloves today, and these are my winter gloves that I've been wearing on this bike for a couple of months now, and the heated grips are really good. So on the hottest level, level 3, they're not so hot. Some bike manufacturers have heated grips that are just so hot and so good that you can't possibly ever have them in the hotter setting. That's not what these are. But what I do find is that today, it's 12 degrees C today, British typical December day, 12 degrees C, and having them on the hotter setting is actually a little bit too warm, so I've had to turn them down a bit. But when I've been riding out and it's been sort of 2 or 3 degrees C, which is basically freezing, I've had it in a hotter setting and it's been fine. It's not, I would ideally like it to be a little bit hotter, but I don't really find that I'm wanting. So it's a really good set of heated grips for that, and they perform really well. And in particular, they perform much better than the Oxford heated grips Pro and the Ultimate add-on heated grips. Those heated grips, I find they're a summer heated grip, really. They're okay, but they never get so hot that you can't touch them. So on a day like today, when it's 12 degrees C, you would still have the Ultimate add-ons on their highest setting, and when it's really cold, when it's sort of 2 or 3 degrees C, the Ultimate add-ons and the Oxford Pro, they're not really up to scratch. They're good, and I would definitely still rather have them than nothing, but they're not really up to scratch, whereas these are really good. Now, while they are really good, they're not 3 times as good as the alternatives, the aftermarket options I've mentioned, but I actually do think they're worth buying anyway. This is one of those situations where you're not getting good value for money, but the increase in performance is worth the money despite them being very expensive. It's one of those situations where you just got to close your eyes, hand over your credit card and pretend it's not happening. So ultimately these heated grips are really good. The functionality is a little bit irritating and it does mean you have to take your eyes off the road more than you would like, and they don't get quite as hot as I would like, but they certainly do get pretty hot enough for almost all situations, and crucially hotter than the best aftermarket options that are available on the market. Now if you've got any questions or have missed anything, let me know in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed this video and want more impartial, unbiased and balanced videos like this, make sure you like and subscribe, and until next time, ride safe.